Thanks, James, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world, and thank you for joining us. I think I'm going to go through a little bit of a business update, just a brief business update, and I'll ask one or two of the execs on the call to interject whenever they feel appropriate into that. But I will start with just talking about the current situation in terms of the global pandemic and how that's impacting on Lotus. It's probably the result of some of the investment we made in technology. Being Chinese owned, we had obviously got an insight quite early on in terms of the seriousness and the potential for a global pandemic by seeing almost at first hand what was happening in China, and we were encouraged by our majority shareholders to start and plan in earnest, based on the worst case as opposed to an optimistic case. So part of that planning was actually an investment of £400,000 extra in IT, both in terms of equipment and systems, to make sure that we could effectively work remotely. And today there are about 650 people, majority of those engineers, that are working remotely at home at the moment to continue our future programs going. In line with government guidelines, we closed the factory on the 24th of March. All our operations closed down, and we're not looking to go back in earnest before the 11th of May on a phased basis. So our approach has been first and foremost to protect our employees, their health and safety. Secondly, then, to make sure that we focus on preserving the company. So we've been working hard to actually take advantage of all the UK government initiatives that are out there in terms of working capital generation, etc. Because obviously we have no revenue coming in at the moment. And now we're into phase 3, which is planning how we and when we go back to work in a very safe environment. What it's teaching us is actually the world isn't going to be normal for quite a long time, and perhaps for months, if not years to come. I think things will change in the workplace, and we're working through that at the moment. But as I say, our plan is to start and go back in terms of production slowly on the 11th of May. It's not just us, of course, it's our supply base from across Europe, in fact, across the world, and it's also our dealer base. And we're in day-to-day contact with both ends of that sales structure, if you will, to make sure that we can produce the cars that actually dealers and customers need and want over the coming months. The one benefit we've got from a financial point of view is a massive support of our owners. That's Geely in China and Etika in Malaysia. And I've been on weekly calls with the seniors of both of those, and they continue to actually invest in us and support us for the long-term plan, which we've called Vision 80. It started 18 months ago, just the day after celebrating our 70th birthday. And Vision 80 is all about what we want to be in 10 years' time in terms of what the company, the brand, the positioning, the product plan, the financial plan, the investment that we need to make over the next 10 years to make us a significant premium manufacturer of premium cars, I should say, and significant around the world. And they continue to invest in that, and they're supporting us in the short term. So nothing changes in terms of that long-term plan as we navigate our way through the short-term issues that everyone across the world is suffering in industry and society in general. And during that time, we're also working hard. We got 750 people that are furloughed at home, partly paid by us, partly paid by the government. But out of those people, many have actually volunteered in the local community to help with local charities. We are manufacturing at Hethel at the moment personal protection equipment, gowns, masks, laundry bags. We've produced about 4,500 plastic visors to support the health service here. And our engineers at Lotus Engineering have designed and engineered a valve for ventilators as well. So we've been busy trying to do our part for the local community, using our expertise and our resource at Lotus, as well as keeping on investing in the program. So I thought it was worth just sharing. I'm sure you'd want to know what we were doing and how it was impacting the business in the short term. If I can give a sort of broader aspect to the business, and I'll ask the other execs to help me on this as well. 2019 was the first year of Vision 80. It was a good year for us. We increased our wholesales by nearly a quarter. Our revenue went up significantly as well. The demand for Evora, which was pleasing, where wholesales went up by over 50%. Revenue up by 13%, and importantly, we delivered our profit targets which is really important to actually support, really give confidence to our major stakeholders, which are our shareholders that are investing hundreds of millions of pounds in the future of Lotus. Our top markets last year for interest. Feel free, Geoff, to jump in at any point. Japan #1, UK 2. France and USA equally 3rd, Germany 4th, Italy 5th, Australia, Switzerland, UAE, China, Korea completes the list. So we are selling all around the world, and actually the whole focus of our Vision 80 strategy is to make sure that we grow and become significant in the premium sports car and premium segments in all major markets over the course of the next 10 years. So what's up and coming? Evora, you will have read a lot about, I'm sure, the world's most powerful production car. Our all-electric hypercar will go into production before the end of the year, despite obvious delays in terms of final testing and manufacturing. But that's not the only investment on our current product. We're celebrating some milestones like Elise limited edition for its 25th anniversary. The GT4, Evora GT410, sort of a touring focus car is about to come out. And of major interest to yourself, I'm sure, is we are quite a way down engineering a new sports car, which you'll get to see sometime next year, and quite a significant milestone really for everyone of you, I'm sure, that knows the Hethel site and the infamous skeleton building that was started back in 2010 and came to an abrupt stop in terms of its development. That is nearly, the skin and the roof is nearly on that now, and that will be fitted out, and that will be the home to manufacturing for our new sports car. So I think that's certainly for our employees, that's quite a landmark now, that we've turned a skeleton into what is going to be a modern manufacturing facility with a level of automation, with a completely automated paint facility as well, and as a big part of nearly £100 million of investment that's going into the Hethel site over the course of the next 18 months. What else have we done? Well, a lot of work's been done on the positioning of the brand. You'll have seen that in terms of the tagline for the drivers, but there's a lot more to this, and perhaps I'll hand over now to Simon just to explain a little bit about that positioning and the work that you did, that you led, Simon.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. I wasn't prepared for that, sorry, but yes, I suppose it's a fairly obvious place to go from a brand point of view. I came into the brand just over 12 months ago now, and looking at what the brand stood for, what the brand has been doing over the last 70 years. But as a marketeer, it's always about why a brand does something that people really engage with. It's not so much what. So we've always been unique. We've been revolutionary in the way that we've been building sports cars. But it's why that we do it, which is really important. And every time we were coming through, it was always coming back that fundamentally it was about the thrill of driving. It's about the experience that it gives to the driver. And when we were looking at not just the brand, we were looking at our mission statement and our vision, and we were looking at various marketing words, it kept on coming back again that fundamentally what we stand for is we are first and last and always for the drivers of our cars. And that fundamentally is what the brand has stood for 70 years, and it has to be the pinnacle for the brand going forward. But just sort of moving on from that, it's really important that it's not just seen as a marketing strapline as well, though. So it's become more of a philosophy, and it's become our mission statement, if you like. And we've now been understanding and trying to roll that out within the business. What does that actually mean around the business? And from a new product development point of view, we've taken that for the drivers. We've looked at it from what we call our product attributes, our PALs. So delivering the best that the car can be, always looking back to, so is this for the drivers? Is this making it the driving experience the best it possibly can? Whatever segment we end up going into in the future, it's always got to be about the enjoyment of driving. And fundamentally, that's what Lotus always has been. It's what makes us different. A lot of sports cars out there, I think, have probably lost a little bit of the connection with the feel of driving, which Lotus absolutely still has. It's the purity of the connection with the road and the connection with the car. And that link between human and motion, which is quite unique. And we're just going to make sure that that is forefront of our mind as we go forward. So it's not just a clever marketing strapline. It's a philosophy for the business. And it's a, if you like, a checkpoint for everything that we do going forward. We've built this brand on driving and driving experiences, and we've got to make sure that we maintain that.
Great, thanks, Simon. Simon is one of a number of people that have joined the exec team over the last 18 months, and all of those that have joined have got a long history in the motor industry, worked with some great brands and been successful there. But all of us that have joined over the last 18, 20 months, I think, share one thing in common, that the excitement about the opportunity to rejuvenate such a famous brand, and knowing that we have the resources to do it with the investment and backing of a very ambitious owner now. And it's been very easy to attract some really good talent out of the industry, to merge with that, with the people that have been there for a long time and very, very passionate about the brand. And I think we've got a killer combination there in terms of the senior team. In fact, throughout the business now, at management level and engineering level, we have a very, very good team, and some of the execs are on the call today. The other focus is to the outside world, is really focusing on developing and building our network for a much bigger volume future. And perhaps Geoff, who's Director of Sales and Aftersales, perhaps you could just add some comments on that, Geoff.
We still haven't remembered to put the microphone on, despite having been doing this for some time. We have today 158 dealers around the globe, and we have a pretty good idea of what we need in the future. But what was interesting to me and Phil and the rest of the gang when we first joined the business was our balance of business globally was actually quite different to many of our competitors. And we really needed to focus very much on the United States. We needed to focus very much on China. And those are, for us in the future, the two major and priority markets in terms of our thinking, in terms of our product thinking, and in terms of all of our marketing and other activities, so that we start to think internally as a global business. And that will give us a balanced portfolio of business across the world. But we have a number of dealers today who they've had outlined to them the basis of our future. They're very excited. All dealers have got the opportunity to become involved with us in the future. They've all been offered the opportunity to sort of enjoy the ride, if you like. Not everybody has said yes, and some have already said that's not for me. I'm not sure about that. Some want to know a little bit more. But many are really very, very excited about what the future holds and the possibilities that the development of the brand and our product portfolio and so on will give. So there's a lot of work to do with our dealer network. We've got a lot of new markets to enter globally, and we've got a lot of expansion to do in what are key markets today, but where we're not fully represented in exactly the right way.
Thank you, Geoff. So I think in conclusion for me, there's a lot of work to be done, because we have an exciting and aspirational plan in front of us. But we have, as I said, the backing from the leap of faith, I should say, from shareholders that want to invest in the long-term future. And just to give you a scale of the investment, The press have actually talked about £1.5 billion being invested in this business plan. All I can say, I won't give you a figure, but I will say that's quite a conservative figure that they've put on that. It's a tremendous amount of money and an investment in a business that could not afford to do that on our own, to transform us into something that is very, very significant over the course of the next 6 to 8 years. So that's it for me. I'll hand back to Flo now, just to sort of coordinate a Q&A, I think.
Okay, so first of all, what we're going to do with the Q&As, we're going to start from going from east to west, so from sunrise to sunset. So Dominic from Hong Kong, what's your question?
Hi, this is Dominic from Hong Kong. How are you guys?
Hi.
Yeah, I was wondering, there's I have a question about the Lotus Tech Center, and I was wondering, there is a new version of the Lotus Tech Center, right? And I was wondering, are these able to be acquired by private individuals or garages?
I think that's a good question for Matt Windle to reply. Matt?
Flo, there's someone waiting in the lobby, I can see here.
Yeah.
There's someone
Just letting me in. Okay, hi. So the question about Tech Centre, that is the dealer tools, yes? The aftermarket tools you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the diagnostic tool.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You meant a technology centre.
No. That's what I thought to start with. So sorry, could you repeat your question again?
There used to be a Lotus Tech Center, like the Lotus diagnostic tool, right? That can access, certain parts of the car via the OBD port. You can scan the fault codes of the ABS fault codes, traction control. You can shut things. You can shut certain features on and off. The diagnostic tool.
Yeah, understand that. What was the question?
Can these be acquired by? There's a new version, and are these able to be acquired by private individuals or garages?
Shall I answer that, Matt?
If you wouldn't mind, please. Yeah,
no problem. We don't make them available to private individuals. We make them available, obviously, to those who are our dealers. And then in certain parts of the world, we have authorized repairers, which are in effect service centers. And obviously, we make them available to those businesses as well. And that's the same as parts supply, technical information, technical support, and obviously the OBD diagnostics equipment too. So that we tend to keep that in the family. It's not something that we sell in the field. And of course, it's a highly specialist piece of equipment as well for many. And there's training involved. So we keep that within our franchise network.
Okay. Super. So heading west. So Brandon from Singapore.
Hi guys, Brandon here over from Singapore. I think the main concern that my guys have over here is that it's been quite difficult to secure parts for the older models like the Eurobus and the Series 2s and the Series 1s. Some minor items like clips, fittings and stuff that they can't find anymore. And the problem about the local market is that we do not have established a dealer for the last few years. The new distributor just took it up about last year, but it's not really up and running at the moment. So my guys are kind of concerned that there is no supportability for their cars. These cars are coming to 20 years old right now. Yeah.
Okay, Geoff, that's probably another question for you.
That sounds like another one for me. Okay, well, Brandon, hi, nice to meet you. I guess the starting point of this is the fact that we've just recently re-established the dealer in Singapore.
Yeah.
It's a dealer that I know well and is known to others within the business, and they are very much an after-sales and customer service organisation. So it's a long-term appointment, not a short-term appointment. In terms of parts availability, this is something that we do get asked a lot. And of course, we talk, you know, Lotus is one of those brands that evokes so much passion that, you know, the very, very high percentage of the cars that have been made by the company over the years are still on the road and are still in operation.
That's right.
And not all brands enjoy that. At the same time, I think it's something like 74 or 75,000 part numbers have been implemented into the after sales or the parts system since the beginning of Lotus time. And we hold from that 75,000 about 17.5, 18,000. And over time and over the years, a number of them, to be fair, have fallen off and out of the system. So if you think of the sort of volume of the cars that we've been making, a lot of the parts in the past, very small volume, often very small suppliers, and sometimes they're even parts from other cars that have been bought in by the company, which are now just quite simply no longer available. The tooling's been lost, the supplier's gone bust, the supplier has ceased trading, or the supplier is just simply saying, I don't want to make that anymore. So we have over the years, and you know, we're not alone in this, other you know, peers in the business are the same. We have over the years just lost sight of some of the parts and some of the supplies that we needed. And then somebody buys a car, they go to restore it 20 years later, and they come along and they say, can I have one of these, whatever that happens to be, and it's not available. So yes, that is a problem. And of course, lots of other companies around the world and specialists and smaller investors in the specialist repair trade have come along and have swept up a lot of that business. So two things. The first thing is we actually work quite closely with a lot of those guys, and we know a lot of those guys because we need them and they help us. And we help them with certain things, and we help them with drawings, and we help them with tooling information and so on. So we can't write what's happened. We can't change what's happened. All we can do is work as closely with everybody as we can to keep things moving along with the older products. But I think the most important thing is that it's our job and my team's job to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Yeah, and that this doesn't happen in the future, which we've very much got our sights on in terms of as things move along and as, you know, our product portfolio changes. We absolutely recognise the importance of heritage, and we will hold on to the past in perhaps a way that we haven't done previously.
Okay, super. Thanks, Geoff.
But stay in touch with us. We're always open to questions, and if we can help and we can support, and sometimes we know somebody who might be able to help, even if we can't do it. So there's no reason why, you know, we're very open to all of that. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Super. Thanks, Geoff. So we're heading to Dubai. So Naim.
Hi, this is Naim from Dubai. The question is regarding the Exige, and if there is going to be a replacement for the car in the coming months or year. What's going to happen to the Exige, basically? I mean, in Dubai, on UAE, it has proven to be more successful than the Evora, strangely enough. And it has attracted, let's say, drivers from supercars. So, yeah.
Okay, I think that's is that a question, perhaps Matt, would you like to respond to?
I think without being slopey-shouldered, it's probably one to put to the guys that are doing the product things like Geoff again. But let's say we can't, as we've said, we've got Vision 80 is our plan for the future, where the current lineup of products are in there. We have a new sports car coming. As Phil said at the start, that will be available for people to see next year. So I think all I would suggest is you wait and see that car, and then we talk further about future products after that.
Matt, can I interrupt? It's Trevor Jordan. You're not prepared to talk about Project Gamma, then 4-part, 6-part, what the floor base is in this forum, just to get the facts straight.
What is Project Gamma? I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know what you've read in the press and what's been said. So all we can say is there is a new sports car coming. It has been announced that it's internal combustion engine, and you will hear a lot more about it next year.
Okay. Well,
sorry,
I
just
know-
not.
I know there's obviously eager for people to get information. So things that I've shared before. So new sports car will come that will address a number of issues that we have with current cars in terms of ability for people to live with them every day, and things such as connectivity, storage, etc. But it is also a car that will be a mid-engine internal combustion engine car that will have all the DNA of a Lotus in terms of design, engineering, performance, dynamics, aerodynamics that you would expect. And the other thing that perhaps I could give you a snippet of, you're not going to see it for a while, but Evija, the hypercar, has started to develop some of the design cues for Lotuses in the future. So expect to see 1 or 2 design cues from Evija in this new car as well.
Super. Okay, now we're going to go to Germany. Nguyen.
Yes, hi, this is Nguyen speaking from Germany. Evija, as you said, a very interesting concept, a very interesting car. How many orders have you received so far for this model?
Okay, question for Geoff, I think.
Let's turn myself back on again. Selling well, selling steadily. It's fair to say that the recent events of the world gave us a marketing hiccup and a sales hiccup, as we were just about to go on a tour of the US, which was completely cut short, and then take the car to Germany, to your part of the world, for the first time, and that we've just had to completely cancel that. It would have been there this week, and you would have seen it this past week if that had been the case. But we're well into we're through year 1, and we're starting now into year 2 of production. So we're okay, we're fine, we're happy, we're comfortable. We just wish that we'd be able to have shown the car to so many more people than we've actually been able to up to now. And we put this big plan together for the beginning of 2020, and we had a number of events lined up, all of which have had to be cancelled. So we've got to stumble for a couple of months, but we will pick it up again as soon as we possibly can, because Europe is a place that's still yet to enjoy the proper viewing of the car.
Can you already tell us where the majority of the orders are coming from?
Well, the clue will be in the answer, in that we've shown the car in the Middle East, in the United States, and in China so far.
Okay.
So that's where. So those that have seen it, really, many have fallen in love with it, and of those that have fallen in love with it, some have just said, I really want to, I want one. But you've got to see it really to appreciate it, because it's a stunning piece of design. Amazing.
Very good, Neil. Thank you.
It's quite interesting to just add that the first time it went on public display was at Quail in Monterey Car Week in California. And the first ROI that we actually sold was a person that walked onto our stand about 5 minutes after we'd done the press conference and said, that is the most beautiful car I've ever seen. I want the first one in the United States. Here's my personal assistant. Please deal with her. And it was as quick as that. It took us 5 minutes to sell the first car.
Great.
Super. So we're now going to head over to Switzerland. Ron.
Hi. You can hear me, I think.
Yes, we can hear you.
My question is much more about the club and the relation to Lotus Cars. We have about 200 members in our club, and this went down from about 230 in the last 2 or 3 years. So, which means that we are kind of losing members, not because they die, but we just found out that younger members prefer not to go or not to become member of clubs. They just much more try to meet through internet chats and so on, and then they go somewhere here in Switzerland in the mountains. And I think this is somehow sad that these clubs all tend to get smaller. You know, the number of the members is just going down. And this is the same thing in other clubs. I know that, but I think we probably could improve that. I mean, improve the number of members when Lotus Car could kind of make us official clubs.
Okay, I think, Simon, is that a question you that you would like to take?
Yeah, that's fine. It's hi, Ron.
Hi,
it's something that we're aware of as well, and I think there's a generational thing here,
Yes.
and the way that the younger audience are consuming sports cars is going to be different. What we want to do, though, because a lot of it is about getting people to experience the car, so we're going to start trying to do more driving events.
Mm-hmm.
So I've now employed a small team, growing a small team that will come and do driving events around the world. But from that, I'd like to start to, off the back of that, do driving, not just events, but almost holidays. So we're looking at what we can do experientially wise. So is there something we can do to drive great routes around Switzerland or Germany or Italy? And we do a 2 or 3 day event that we put some funding in, that we sell an opportunity on, that we can get dealers to support for people to come and experience and drive their cars. I think we'll get more people engaging in that way than perhaps a club. And then from that, potentially, once they see the benefit of it, maybe we can grow that into more official clubs. But I think it's something we're aware of. It's something that Lotus has really survived on for the last 20 odd years. It's the strength of the clubs and the strength of the enthusiasm for the brand through those clubs. So we want to try to support it, but I think we need to maybe reinvent what that club is and maybe look at what the new generation want. So we're investigating that. We'd like to talk to you about how you see that forming, but I think it's probably taking the car a little bit off the track and a little bit more around more of an experience. So it's more of a driving great road, staying in a nice hotel and having an event around there rather than just squealing tyres around the track, which a lot of the younger generation are not really getting into. So I think we just got to change the focus a little bit. So we're aware of the problem. We're trying to do something about it. It won't happen overnight, but trying to get more people driving Lotuses is obviously something that we're very keen on as well. So let's see what these events, we'll pilot a few. Certainly not this year now, sadly, but we'll pilot a few next year and let's see what we can get from there.
Okay.
Simon, it's Trevor again. I do apologise. On that subject then, costing wise for these sort of events, sometimes Bell & Colville, prime dealer of yours, they do things at Goodwood, but you see the bottom line figure and it is quite expensive. So are you going to make it more affordable for your average customer rather than your higher end customer?
I think that's really important, Trevor. Yeah, and I think where some of the cost comes from is because they do events around tracks, and because they're renting a track for a day or a couple of days. That's where the cost comes from. I'm not convinced, and we need to do some more research on this, that the younger generation are really into track driving. There'll be an element of it. But so we're trying to look at what we can do in terms of road driving and road events. So it may well be the cost of an average price hotel and a meal at the end that we can perhaps fund from the Lotus marketing budget to keep the costs down. But it's trying to get more people to experience cars on road as well as just track. So we'll try some road drive events. The costs, the expensive side of it comes when you try to hire places like Goodwood, because that's where the cost comes in. If you don't get enough people, the price per entry is quite prohibitive often. But let's try and take it off the track and let's see whether that works. Yeah,
I mean, again, things like Stelvio trips that certain clubs have run in the past. No matter what brand you drive, you do get the occasional idiot that wants to do 3 times the speed limit, and it does make your brand look bad in that respect. Oh, look, a group of Lotuses have gone out and they're going through the villages of Switzerland 100 kilometers an hour, and it should be 30 kilometers an hour. You know, that's no disrespect to the Swiss. I was there, I was driving there, and it said you do 80 mile an hour on the motorway. Everyone did 80 kilometers on the motorway. Everyone did 80 kilometers on the motorway. You have to be careful to not put your brand into disrepute.
You're absolutely right, Trevor, and it's always difficult. But I've run these sort of events before with other brands, and there are opportunities. So, for example, you mentioned Switzerland. There are opportunities to do some road driving, and we have to make sure that we're sensible. So you give everyone the rules and the guidance. We're going to be very visible, so the police will probably be out in force. So please be careful. But then you can get into some of the places, Switzerland in particular, where you can close roads off. So for a few €100 here and there, we can close sections of roads where we can actually start to drive the car properly. So you're doing it legally, you're doing it safely. So there are ways you can do it, but you're absolutely right. It's always a challenge.
Okay, so we've skipped to the UK, so we've got to go back now to Italy. Paolo.
Hi, this is Paolo from Italy, from Club Lotus Italy. Nice to meet you. It's a great pleasure to talk with you. I have a question about the engines of the future models. I would like to know if the engines of the new model will come from European or Asian car brands, or they will be made in Italy.
Okay, so I think that's a question probably for Matt and maybe even for Simon about market readiness and what have you. So shall we do Matt first?
So I think the questions were where are the engineering brands coming from, or the engine brands coming from. So as we said, we can't get into the product details around the cars that are coming. However, a V6 will still be available, and we're looking at other options. And the engines will be of the right pedigree for the car that we're trying to do. So I think, as Phil said earlier, we've got an amazing base with the products that we've got out there, particularly the Evora as well. So what we're looking to do with the sports cars coming is just build on that. So we don't want to lose the DNA. We don't want to lose that passion for driving, the feel, the connection with the car that you have, the noise note and things. But we do want to improve on your usability, your infotainment system, your connectivity, your storage, and all of those things. So if you're concerned about the heart of the car, I would say don't be concerned about the heart of the car, because we recognise that is one of the pure elements that we want to hold. And I know people are concerned about electrification going forward and how that would work with our brand. But again, my interpretation for the drivers is for the customer. So what the customer will want and expect from a Lotus car. And I can guarantee you that we are engineering that into the sports cars of the future.
Super. Simon, do you want to expand upon that?
I think Matt's covered it, to be honest. I think the only thing to also say is Lotus is, well, for me anyway, Lotus has never really been about the engine as such. It's really about what the car can do from a handling point of view and from a connectivity to the road and the driving experience, which probably gives us an opportunity to embrace future technologies, as Matt has said. That's not immediately around the corner. The next car will be combustion engines, but I think it's more about how the chassis and the car behaves and how it drives and how it handles, more than just sort of the powertrain. We've been renowned for getting far more performance out of smaller engines over the years because of lightweight technology, etc. So just marrying the right engine with the car is obviously very important, but it's really about how the car performs for me, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed with this next car.
Super. Now we'll head to France and Serge.
Yes, good afternoon for all. Speaking from Club Lotus France. I have a question about classic Lotus. Several constructors, for example, Renault, Peugeot, Porsche, Ferrari, have set up a department classic. Lotus has a plan to do the same?
Okay, I think that's a question, perhaps Simon to start with, and maybe Geoff if he wants to put input.
So just to be clear, when we talk about classic Lotus, you're not talking about classic Team Lotus and the F1 cars. You're talking about classic road cars.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Again, it's there's an opportunity. We're looking at so many things at the moment from a sales and marketing point of view. That's definitely something that we have and are looking at. We've got no firm plans at this stage, but the opportunity to provide the classic car owner with, as Geoff just alluded to, parts and restoration and a facility for maintenance is an opportunity I think that we've never embraced at Lotus, but I think we've got an opportunity to do going forward. We don't have any firm plans at the moment, but it's absolutely within our list of things that we want to try to do. So we're doing an awful lot in terms of improving the facilities for production and improving facilities on site for the team. And beyond that, then the opportunities in terms of what we can do in growing the business. That's definitely within that list. So it's not immediately going to happen, but it's certainly within our sights.
Perhaps I can add some.
Go on, sorry, Phil. Well.
I would just say, generally, I mean, Geoff may give you some specifics, but generally, it is a priority for the medium term. My priority at the moment is making sure that we actually are investing in new products for the future, representation around the world, that we can start and grow the brand. As we grow, we've got some quite ambitious targets in terms of volumes for the future. The appeal generally of the Lotus brand is going to grow in every country around the world. And I think in turn, that's going to generate interest in our classic cars, because we've got icons in the past as well. That's going to increase the value of those cars. It's going to increase the business potential to be involved in that, whether that be re-engineering, reimagining, whether it be refurbishment, whether it be parts, etc. I do think that what we are doing with new cars and growing the appeal of the business and the brand globally over the next 5 years is going to have a direct and positive impact in terms of the classic car business. And we will need our plans in place to actually support and benefit from that.
Okay. Thank you very
much. Next question, very aware that the Lotus guys have got a hard stop at 2 o'clock, so we'll have to move on quite quickly now. So Alan from Club Lotus. Hello, Alan. No, we seem to have lost Alan. Okay. Bibs, Andy.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. A question is, with the range and volumes of Lotus cars expanding in the near future, obviously to maintain the profitability of the company and sustainability, what will you be doing to maintain Lotus DNA in these future models?
Okay, I think that's a question for Matt.
Hi, Andy. Thanks. I could jump in as well, Matt, if you like, but it probably is you first.
Yeah, as I said in the question I answered before, we understand the DNA of Lotus products. The things that stand out are the ride and handling, the aerodynamics, the lightweight nature. And even if you take a Via, where we have challenges with the weight because we've got a heavy battery pack in there, we have challenged ourselves to make one part do several jobs, or we've done a full carbon monocoque on it just to keep the weight down. So we're never going to be a brand that adds performance through power. We're always going to be working, as we always do, to have the lightest vehicle, because, you know, as Chapman said, you go fast everywhere then, and that's what we're trying to do. So the Lotus DNA will stay in all our products. It's very, very important to us. It is the history, and that's where our customer base is. But then on top of that, we realise in today's age that you should be able to get in, and your phone should link up to your car straight away. You should have enough room to put your shopping or your weekend bag away or something like that. Storage, water bottles, coffee cups, and things. All of those bugbears that really do put people off buying the cars. We're trying to improve those as well, but whilst keeping the Lotus DNA at the heart of the products.
I think just to add to that as well, Andy, where we sort of came in, which was for the drivers. For the drivers, it's being used as a marketing message externally, but internally, it really came from our mission statement. So we decided we needed to put mission, vision, and values as every corporation needs. Our mission and our purpose is absolutely, we are first and last and always for the driver. That's going to be a philosophy going through. So the way that we talk to engineering about the new products that are coming through, the way that we set the attributes for those products, it's always got for the drivers fundamentally at the forefront. And we're blessed that we've got such a great team of engineers that can absolutely deliver that. So it doesn't matter what we build in the future, where the volumes go, what segment we're in, it will always be a proper driver's car, because that's what makes Lotus different.
Okay, super. Now, we're going to jump to the USA now. Trevor, obviously I know you've probably got a couple of more questions, but you've asked a couple of questions already. So we'll go to Brian in the States.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my question's really going to focus more on the interaction between Lotus Cars and the clubs around. So to kind of follow up a little bit that was asked earlier, especially with there being focused more on the United States to try and drive some of the market that's here. What plans does Lotus have for supporting the local car clubs, especially in comparison to how some of the other really major car clubs, such as Mercedes, supports their clubs in the area? I do want to say that it's been an absolute pleasure working with Ryan Watson so far. His support has been pretty great so far.
Okay, I think that's Simon. That might be another question for you.
Yeah, and then probably Ryan as well, because it's particularly with the US. I think just coming back to one of the answers I gave before, the Lotus clubs have been. Well, have been key for Lotus over the last couple of decades. The wealth of support that we've had for the brand through those clubs has not gone unnoticed, and it's just trying to grow those clubs now in the future. I think that the new generation, as we mentioned before, is probably going to want something different. So we need to be mindful of that and how do we adapt. But supporting, getting people in cars and getting excited about Lotuses, that's what sells the car. So we're looking to put programs together that will be supporting motorsport and also clubs and growing that around the world, specifically market to market. I'm then going to have to rely on the marketing team as well within market, so I'll bring Ryan into that. But it is going to be part of our global marketing strategy going forward. What we can do in terms of embracing the clubs, doing things like this for a start, which I think is quite new, and giving an opportunity, and hopefully if this is successful, we'll be doing more of that. We also want to be bringing the clubs into the fold a little bit more. So when we do press launches, it's not just the press that we bring in. Can we bring members of the clubs in as well, so that you're also in the know at the time before it gets released to the public? So just embracing the opportunity that I think we have to be talking directly to Lotus owners through you guys is something I'm very aware of and I want to get closer to. It's going to take some time to go across the whole globe, but I think we want to start coming and talking to you more and more. I also do think we probably need to change a little bit, because the next generation probably does want something different. But what is that? And I think we can help each other with that.
Excellent. Well,
Ryan, I don't know whether Ryan wanted to add anything on that, because it was for the States.
Yeah, I think just a couple of minutes, and thank you, Brian. It has been a pleasure working with yourself as well. One of the things that we said when we interacted a lot more with Lotus Limited was to say that we want to be there as a support rather than sort of the crowning glory. It's very easy for us to write a check to support something, but where's the value in that side of it as well?
That's not easy.
So rather than just supporting with money or anything, we like to be there. We like to be part of the support team as well, and I think we've represented that very well with the partnerships that we've had with the log gatherings in the last couple of years as well. And we do need to do more. We need to take it into the future and adapt, as we've just been saying before, for the next generation, the next generation of owners, and the current generation of owners to see how they want to interact at that level. And I think the clubs is a fantastic support network for us as a business as well, because we need to hear that voice from the market. If we don't hear that voice from the market, you know, we're kind of looking and trying to look ahead, but all of the time looking down at our feet. So it's very much a two-way street. It's not just about cutting money and supporting that way. It's about being a real value to each other. I think it's it's great that we've got such a good relationship with the Lotus owners and the teams at Lotus Limited for the North American market. So yeah, thank you.
Super. Well, that 60 minutes has flown by. I hope you've all found it constructive, and we all massively appreciate you dialing in either at late at night at one side of the world, or early in the morning in the other side of the world. So if you've enjoyed it, let us know, and maybe we can do another USLOT forum in the future.